now I think you're all grown up. So you go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Watches and Whiskey.
It's like a solid B- right there.
Yeah, well, getting better. It used to be.
Yeah, you are getting better. But anyway, welcome guys to another show. Glad to have you with us. Brought a bunch of watches, a lot of interesting topics today.
Where's the whiskey? We do this. This is the second time.
Guys, really? You know what?
What can I pick?
Go ahead. McAllen, let me guess.
Something a little different. We've been on a bourbon kick lately, and this seemed to pay off well.
High West is really good.
High West, it is.
All right.
Cups.
I'm definitely I'm definitely not giving you that 140 proof stuff. By the way, after the last show, we drank that.
Oh man.
You guys saw the New York vlog we put out? We and Adrian went to New York. Well, that was the day after we drank that stuff. It's like 140 proof. Adrian was supposed to meet with me at his dad's house, and at 8:30.
This was the a Bunad Alba.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
So, guess what happened? 8:35. Adrian, where are you? It's like coming back from the gym, about to go shower and meet you guys at the office. Like, no, we're supposed to meet at your dad's house at 8:30. He's like, let's just say he had a rough time with it. But that was the whole trivia thing where you had to take a little more
I
shots.
completely forgot about that conversation. Now you're making the people think that I'm a lightweight.
You're not a lightweight, but in the trivia thing, you lost 3-7. So
yeah, I was ripping shots of this stuff. So.
Anyway,
cheers, guys.
So High West, actually, by the way, great distillery. They make Yippee-Ki-Yay, which is one of my favorites. And every time I say that name or drink that drink, Bruce Willis just Yippee-Ki-Yay motherfuckers just in my head. Midnight Summer Drem, which is a play on words on the play.
Dream, you mean?
No, but they can't call it that, so they call it Drem, right? That's probably my favorite from them. They have acts, so they have Act 1 through 8 right now. Mm-hmm. I try to go back and buy Act 1 and 2. It's like $2,000. The bottle retails for $50. It's insane. And they go for about $1.50. But anyway, enough about High West. Let's talk about what we got going on the show. I want to tell you guys and give a shout out to Nazar.
Nazar.
So Adrian gets DMs, emails, Facebook requests, all those things. You got young kids out there saying, I want to get into this business. I want to do what you do. I want to flip. I want to do this, that, and the other. Most of you guys, I tell you, hey, check out the video on how I got started and so on and so forth. This kid was relentless, and he said, listen, I don't care what time, anywhere, anytime. I'm jumping on a plane, and I'll be in your office. Lo and behold, told him, you know what, come on up. 8 a.m., he calls me. I just landed in Philadelphia. Let me know when I come to the office. He got here around 10:30. We had a couple of appointments in the morning. And I think the fact that his Nazar, luxury Nazar, no?
Not at all.
No? Okay. Anyway, so we had a conversation in regards to how do you take your business to the next level? And Nazar thus far has been here. The guy started with...
Oh, he actually bought 2 watches from him, and then I actually bought something from him.
Yes, exactly. But the guy was actually like right here initially. Young kid, he's actually a pilot, believe it or not. He's not a commercial pilot yet because you need like 4,000 hours to be able to fly the big boys, and that takes forever. But 4,000 flight hours. With that said, you know, he started out, he had like $10,000 that he said, I bought a watch, sold a watch. Then he took a hit, like a $12,000 hit on a watch, which took him back down to zero.
Story.
Yeah, he told me. Which basically brought him back down to zero. He didn't give up, started again, got his, call it kitty, up to about $40,000, $50,000, which is what he's working with right now. And the one thing that I told him in the deal that we made is that you need to open up the blinders a little bit. Obviously, he's going after the obvious, the Rolexes, what's hot right now. And I asked him one question. I said, well, Nazar, what happens when the Rolex market goes and slows down? I'm not saying drops, just slows down. Where there's not that everyday hype where you got guys like us paying buku dollars for the stuff. You can always call us and sell it off to us and cash out. I said, the best way you can do in the industry today, it's very tough to go out there and compete and open up your own website or open up your own eBay store, Chrono24 and so on and so, become an internet seller because of the competition that's out there. Mm-hmm. You got guys like us out there. You got guys like Watchbox out there. You got Chrono24. It's humongous competition. You won't survive with a list of clients that goes back 20 years.
You don't
without a list of clients.
You just simply don't need to.
So what I told him, I said, imagine this. Imagine you had a magic phone number where you could be anywhere, look at any watch, where you can pick up the phone, call somebody on the line and say, hey, what are you paying for this watch? Because I have no idea what this watch even is. And they give you a number of $10, therefore you paid somebody $9 and make your $1. He's like, that would be great. I'm like, well, that's us, right? So if you're out there the best thing to concentrate on, I feel like, is not to sell, but it's to buy. Because you make money on the buy, not on the sell. Which I'll show you with a few of these watches later on.
Funny enough, the same day that Nazar was here, I got an Instagram message asking relatively the same question. I'm going to read it off for you guys real quick. It goes, "Hi Adrian, I'm a fan of the content you and Roman make. Thank you very much. I'm not going to disclose any names, but let's call him James for all intents and purposes."
James.
He goes, "I currently work in luxury retail for Louis Vuitton and wanted to shift into watches and jewelry, but I'm unsure how to make that move. I don't know whether to try and chase out a position at an AD, boutique, try and become a flipper, or work for a gray market dealer. As a 21-year-old college student, I'm not sure what to do and really just want your advice. I feel passionate about watches outside of the lucrative nature of the business, but for watches themselves. Hope you and your family are well. Thank you, and
that
we wish
sounds
you
like every
continued success."
single email that I
So
get.
what I actually did in a few words, I actually broke down the 3 different levels of getting into the business, or I would say 3 different businesses within our business, right? So I said, flipper, level of difficulty, I said, is extreme and almost counterproductive today if you have no working capital or access to inventory or a name in the industry. Working for a gray, best way to gauge the market and ins and outs of the industry. You will truly learn the market, the ins and outs of the business, but it will take time. I started in the gray market 10 years ago and still here today. Then I explained to him AD. I told him, selfishly, I would love for you to work at Patek Rolex or an AP AD and become my new connect. Just joking. Not really. But.
Yeah.
Also, great way to meet clients, learn the business, and quickly gather a retail client base.
And what's the downside of that?
What's the downside of that? Well, I think working at
It's simple,
retail
it's money.
is very
It's money.
It's very vertical. It's this came in, this is how much it is. You know, there's really no negotiation. They don't really do many trades. There's only very few amount of ADs.
I think experience is going to be shit working for an AD at this point.
However, yeah, but
you're not buying, you're just selling.
Yeah, but the access to the retail clients. You know, if you ever want to go out on your own, you have a client list of people. Granted, you know, the ADs may sign some type of disclosure agreement,
Yeah,
whatever
you're not stealing those clients. But I think the downside on that is that it's just another job like working for Louis Vuitton. And the pay will probably end up being similar unless you make it to be a top salesman, you bring a new fresh business and do something different for that AD. Odds are you'll be making the same money as you do for Louis Vuitton. But to finish off the story with Nazar, the key point that I made to him is that try to figure out a way to bring people to you that you are able to buy. And it doesn't necessarily mean the retail clients, it can also be dealers. If you put word out there that, hey, I'm buying, because look, you may know Rolex, you may know AP, you may know the hottest. You will not know a watch such as, I don't know, this, a piece unique Quorum that retails for 580,000 Swiss francs, right? This is something that even today, Adrian will come to me and be like, hey, that's your cup of tea. I know a number.
times.
I know what number to put on this watch because of experience. But if you have the luxury of calling up, hey, Roman, I'm being offered this crazy, what was that watch we showed on Instagram the other day? The Kuwait watch, the Jacob & Co.
Oh, I didn't know
like,
what it was.
Like, you know, he didn't even know what that watch
Jacob
was.
& Co.
That Kuwait watch was a Jacob & Co.
What do you mean?
You missed that part?
Yeah, absolutely.
Just because it's Kuwait all over.
You said it's a Kuwait watch. I
Right,
said like
but
the
it's-
country.
but
You're
it's-
like, no, it's like the Kuwait made that watch.
Right, but it's made by Jacob & Co.
Okay, you did not say that.
Yeah.
No, you didn't.
Okay,
Anyway.
But anyway, long story short, you know, you can call somebody and say, hey, Roman, what are you paying for this? Or Adrian, what are you paying for this? And we tell you $5,000 and you go out there and grab it for $4,000. You have guaranteed profit and you know that you're laying money out short term. And as I have a relationship with guys like you that have been doing this for years as a side thing. You know, didn't ever even turn into a full-time thing that I trust enough to where I'll even help them pay for this stuff once I get to know them. But enough about that. Let's talk about, this is up your alley right here. Comparing watches to stocks.
Oh, I love this one.
All right. So, Bubba Watson, I got a comparison here to Apple stock. Do you agree?
No.
3 years. Think of Apple stock in the last 3 years. Pull it
I
up.
compare Bubba Watson to Bitcoin.
If
if you really ask
but that's
me.
wrong though, because if you, again, we're going back at least.
Apple stock is a good one. Okay,
No,
3
you
years
gotta
ago,
go back 3-4 years because you can't look at the last 6 months, because if you look at the
Forget
last
about the last 6 months. What was Apple stock 3 years ago?
look it up. Look, you're looking at look at the chart, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at triple the price. Has Bubba tripled in price in the last 3 years?
Yes,
Exactly what
absolutely.
happened. And that's why I put
Absolutely. Yeah,
Apple
that's a good
next
point.
to Bubba Watson.
That
He
is a
went
good
from
point.
100 to 300
Yep.
as an Apple tripled
Yep.
just the same, right?
Apple Bubba Watson.
15202 steel. I put that versus Tesla.
Tesla is probably bigger.
But I'm talking about, again, we're not
I know,
comparing numbers. But if I think of 15202, you got a 15202 3 years ago.
Yeah. Oh,
How
man.
much?
It
How
was
much?
in the 20s.
In the 20s, $28,000.
No, what am I saying 3 years ago? They were under retail.
Exactly. They were under. You can still get one under retail, right?
What am I saying?
And now we're at 70 plus.
Yeah. I mean, this watch 3 years ago.
My throat goes right.
You know, I wish I freaking knew these things.
What?
You know what I'm saying? I wish I knew a 15202 that back in the day I could pick
I
up for
I guarantee you. I'll tell you what. Answer me this.
Yeah.
3 years ago, I gave you 10 15202s to hold,
Yeah.
or I give you $300,000. What do you take?
I would have took $300,000.
Exactly, because you're going to make that into more money.
Obviously, you can't predict what the future, but obviously, hindsight's 2020. And looking back,
Exactly.
I wish I had.
So 15202 is definitely Tesla. I have the Rainbow Daytona against Bitcoin. Because I remember Bitcoin. I remember not too long ago Bitcoin hovering around that $4,000 to $5,000 mark. It makes a freaking run up to almost 20. I think it was like 17, 18, right? It comes back down to 6, and it goes up to 50. And I feel like the Rainbow Daytona Daytona never came back down.
Never did.
But
Exactly.
I feel like the Rainbow Daytona was also fairly slow. If you take a graph of Bitcoin and you look at it as a slow curve and then just a big jump.
I would call Rainbow Daytona basically the S&P 500 index, because it literally grows at a healthy pace upwards.
But my thing.
Rainbow Daytona never dipped.
Look, I sold the Rainbow Daytona. When it came out, I sold the Rainbow Daytona at 115,000.
Talking about the rose gold Rainbow Daytona.
In general, I'm talking about the first ones, right? 115, 120, 130, then they jump them to 150, 160, right? But I feel like it's only in the last few months where you're seeing prices over 400 on this thing. 9 months ago, Rainbow, there wasn't even a thought that Rainbow Daytona could be 400 plus. Do you agree?
Okay,
and that's why I kind of feel like it's a Bitcoin. It's just like boom.
That's just watches across the board. Not only Rainbow Daytona. Rainbow Daytona is going up.
This is a good
with
one.
Every other premium.
5711. I'm going to tell you what I played.
5711.
I'll give you a
Don't
hint.
say GameStop.
Baby,
That's not
GameStop. Why?
Because 5711, even though that it exploded in value, it's been a healthy increase upwards.
We just sold at 5711 to a dealer for 105.
GameStop is purely Richard Mille. But
Richard Mille didn't come back down. GameStop did.
Yeah, but the whole narrative behind GameStop, where
it's hype,
it was legitimately manipulated.
Yeah, if you don't look at it from
just like Richard Mille, people ask whatever the hell they want to ask because you just can't get them. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about some things that are down. And unfortunately, I got the GMT concept. All right, I love concept. You love concept. We both love concept. And I think the fact that watch is just so big that it comes out of the gate, it's hot, and then it just drops. This is Nick's comparison, by the way. He said, APGMT concept versus Carnival Cruise Line from 2017 to 2019. It traded between $60 to $80, night tanking all the way down to 15 to 20. So, brand new concept GMTs. They come out of the gate 200, 225 for good ones, right?
The retail when they came out, the concept GMTs, they had the gray titanium and then they had a white one. I remember the first gray one we had. Yeah, I remember the first gray one we had. It was over 200. Retail was 214 at the time. It was over 200. Now you'd be hard pressed to sell like a nice example for $150 today, $140 even today.
One thing I will put on the exclusion list because it kind of is holding steady is still the Alacrite concept. The Alacrite concept is still 150 plus, and the original list was only 120 on it.
Okay, but where did that peak at?
Oh, that before 08, the Alacrite concept I think was 2.25.
Okay, so it did dip.
Yeah, I guess you're right. 5960 versus Norwegian. What's with Nick and
Cruise Lines?
And Cruise Lines. 5960 versus Norwegian Cruise Line. Average stock price in 2018 was $52. Now at $28. I think that's actually a good comparison because the highest I've ever sold personally at 5960 was a double sealed one. Right before the crash in 08, I sold it for $83.5. And ever since those things have been hovering.
Platinum and which dial?
The gray dial, the first one. Because they didn't have any other ones back then. So that very first one. So now that thing is still sitting at sort of that,
40s.
40s, sort of halfway from its peak price.
Yeah.
But at the time it came out, the watch was $53 3,000 retail.
Retail?
Yeah. So, and it was trading 30 grand over. So, but I'm only going to go off the peak price because the retail was kind of irrelevant in '08 as much as it is right now. And then last we have, this is my favorite, Nardine Genghis Khan versus Boeing. Price in 2019 was 422. Today trading at 221 and dropping. This time last year it was as low as $100. And I'm going to agree with that. This is Nick's comparison. I kind of gave him the numbers, prices of where that watches was, and he compared it to that, and I think it's a great comparison. And it's still a damn shame because, again, before your time, I remember selling Genghis Khan. Yeah, I'd be lucky if I got 10 off.
Incredible watch.
Absolutely.
By the way.
Tourbillon, middle repeater, mechanical.
Dude, they fight.
Mechanical
They literally
repeater.
fight on
One of my
the dial.
favorite,
Ting,
and
ting.
and I think it's a grailable watch, dude. They didn't make a lot of them either. Most of them were a limited edition of 30, and the way this went, down 75%. Like I remember a year ago, you couldn't give away a Genghis Khan for 200, 220. In the high times, I was selling them for 700, 800, depending on combinations, right? And now they're slowly starting to creep back up. I think people are realizing the value behind the horologic.
Maybe the oligarchs coming back.
I hope so, because Russia, I sold so many of them to Russia and Ukraine.
Yeah.
It was insanity. So that was our little comparison. If you guys got something that you want to throw into the mix, a watch, a stock, we'll be happy to hear your opinion. Again, we're not by all means.
We're definitely going to hear about them in the comments.
definitely going to hear about it. Speaking of comments, we got to give away a hoodie. I know you guys have been blowing up for these hoodies. We only made so many of them. We didn't buy them to sell them. We're not going to sell them. We're going to give them away to fans, guys that are watching and making the funniest comment. And I personally have a winner.
You do?
Yeah.
Tell me
Remember
that's
that-
something to do with my hairline.
Nope.
I just got a haircut today, so I'm looking good.
Looks
Thank you very
sharp.
much. I appreciate you.
I think
Cheers to that.
Nick, I would like to know who was the guy that said that Adrian does not need to wear a mask. He can just take his big ass ears and put them over his mouth. That's my winner. And next week you get to pick your winner of somebody trolling me.
My ear's that big? Can somebody answer me? Like,
They're a little
thank you.
unproportional to the size of your head.
Think so?
A little bit. Maybe it's the fact that they're just so pointy or something. I don't know. I don't really look at your ears.
You know what it is? When I was little, I used to play with them like this.
Oh,
they started to
is that
stick
what
out.
happened?
Yeah.
No, that's genius.
Yeah. My mom says.
So you're gonna shoot me an email, RomanSharf@luxurybazaar.com, and I will send you out one of those sweatshirts because I think that was clearly a winning comment. Note
That was a good one. I'll give it.
That was good. That was good. I was laughing myself. And you're the one that found that comment too.
That's really good.
Let's talk about some of the things we bought this week. All right. And well, I shouldn't say I bought. You bought some Langes just the same. Probably, let's see. The coolest Lange here is probably going to be this guy, right? It's your Patek 5970, as I like to call it. It's a perpetual calendar.
Or 5270. I just saw on it was an Instagram post somebody did a comparing both 5970 and 5270 because it is a perpetual calendar chronograph to a Lange one, and the votes were split right down the middle.
Well, I'd love to get your vote. I'll tell you personally.
Personally,
I'll tell you
which one do you
personally.
pick?
Oh, I take the Lange all day long. It's not a secret. I've talked about this all the time. I prefer Lange's watchmaker. I think it's superb to that of Patek Philippe. Look at the back of this thing. I mean, this thing is insane. Look at that. I mean, you can stare for that for days.
No doubt about it.
Some simpler Langes.
I'll take the Patek though.
Some simpler Langes. And note the theme here is rose gold. I think rose gold black on a Lange is the sickest combination. I mean,
Rose gold black on anything.
but particularly, well, maybe even not so much on these. Probably we bought a Grand Lange one that has the offset circle, that has the offset counters and all that stuff.
I'm actually a huge. I don't know if we talked about this on the last watches.
No, but
we have the Datograph flyback.
I don't think so. You picked this up.
This is. I'm just a sucker for Datograph. Like their line of Datagraphs, I just love them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'm more of a plain Lange one guy. I love
I just think
the
it's
plain
super
Lange
unique.
one.
Striking time, that's my thing.
If you had to pick a Lange, it'd be striking time.
It'd be a Zeitwerk striking time.
I mean, I could go with the Tourbillon.
Or the Luminous Phantom.
That's a good one.
It's a good one.
I would probably end up going with something a little more, rock and roll. I would go with the Tourbillon, but that's an expensive $500,000 plus
Or
watch. But personally, for me, I would be so content with this that
That's incredible.
that's
Absolutely
just,
incredible.
and it's particularly in rose gold white dial, oddly enough, because I feel like the complications popped.
It's very clean.
It's very clean, and you can
look
read
with
it
the
well.
white dial, yeah.
But speaking of, what's on your wrist, by the way?
I have a
course you have it all,
41 sub, yellow gold.
How do you know it's a 41?
Because I
Do you
bought
walk
it.
around? Do you walk around with a little ruler?
Let me tell you something. As minute as that difference is, of 1 millimeter, and trust me, I've worn a lot of 40 cells in my life.
That's what she said, yeah.
You can tell the difference. You really can.
I don't fucking believe
I'm
it.
telling you, you can.
Speaking of gold bracelet watches and speaking of elongates, this is something that's actually uber rare. I'm going to wear this thing for quite a bit. And I'm going to be completely transparent with you guys. I think that these are so underrated that I absolutely paid top dollar for this watch. And I'm not selling it at a 10% margin at all, because you'd be hard-pressed to go out there and find any elongate on a bracelet. I'll tell you why. Elongate bracelets have been discontinued probably at least 8 years, right? I mean, you have the Odysseus, but that doesn't really count. That was their steel watch with the bracelet.
I'm sorry, say that again?
Odysseus?
Odysseus.
It depends on which, part of Philly you're from. Anyway, so when they did make these elongate bracelets, they made very, very few of them. They took existing models, put them on bracelets, and they made very, very few. So even at the time when these were made, there weren't a lot to go around. There were some old cabarets that they put bracelets on. A lot of
find a platinum
ones.
example of that.
Saxonia.
You can find a platinum example of that.
I had, like an asshole, I sold it. I had a platinum elongate one just like this with a mother of pearl dial on a bracelet in platinum.
Mother of pearl dial.
Mother of pearl dial, and I paid $21,000 for it. I mean, today that watch,
undervalued.
that watch would have been 60 grand
Extremely
today.
undervalued.
So to me, I'm gonna actually kick this around. One other thing about the elongate bracelet is it has the proper weight where you feel the bracelet, but yet you still feel the watch, and it's super comfortable because the bracelet is sort of.
I think that
it's like it's not a mesh because it's thick, but it's still extremely comfortable.
I think that Longays are a great watch to pick up right now, because I do feel they are supremely undervalued at the moment, and I think that they have a lot of potential to go up.
Remember the New York video? We bought one of these. Well, that week we bought 3 of these. And if you watch the New York video, you guys know what I paid for this. I think that a lot of you guys have talked about Zenith, how underrated Zenith really is. And you know what? For under $10,000, a skeleton chrono with the Fame El Primero movement, skeleton back. Look at this rotor in the back. This is pretty ridiculous, right? How can you go wrong?
Cool watch.
How can you go wrong? So all you guys out there looking for alternatives and don't want to pay top dollar, like take this and put it next to a Batman. I'm sorry, this thing will blow it out of the water every single time, looks wise, functionality wise, and everything else. And it's a comfortable watch to wear too on a rubber strap. It's versatile. So we bought 3 of these actually. Yeah, actually we sold one, so we have 2 left. So this I will keep in stock all day, every day. It doesn't break the bank for us, and it doesn't break the bank for the client. Talk to me about the thin offshores. Because I know we had a conversation about this. You bought.
Oh, yes, there it
is.
is.
You bought this, and Adrian is doing backflips over this watch. Tell him.
So this came out a few years ago. This is the 42 millimeter Royal Oak Offshore in titanium, and what they actually did with this one is they switched the format of the subdials, because usually offshore have subdials at 12, 3, and 6 o'clock. This time they did it like a Royal Oak chrono. And what I actually love about this watch is that it's titanium. I'm a big fan of titanium because it's light, it's very wearable. But the thickness of the case, let's put them together. Made it, if you can see in the camera here.
Let me do this without scratching them. Let me try to do
titanium
this.
is very fragile. Yeah.
So you kind of can see the difference.
If they can't see it on camera, in person, it is a significant difference.
I mean, you can see it. Look at that. Look at it. You see sort of the back. You see the back plate of the offshore protruding a little bit, and you see the case is slightly thicker. So
the bezel's thinner and the case is thinner. So I think they did a remarkable job with this, and I really, really want AP to continue on this format. I'm surprised they only came out with this one. I hope for the next time around they make a lot of stainless steel.
I mean, like here's a current model. Well, granted, this is
a 44. It's much bigger.
But again, still, if you look at the thickness, I mean, this becomes extremely thick in comparison to the other one. Speaking of that, what's the market on that? What was the retail on it?
The retail right now, I believe, is around the 31 or 32,000 mark. We picked this up at a good deal. It's a slider like new. We're gonna be selling it for 28,000.
28,000. That's not bad. How about?
Oh, this is cool. This is actually real dope. Yeah, this is the green camo. I think of all the camo versions they came out with, I don't know if I take this one or the salmon dial, because you know me, I love salmon dial.
I like the OG one, and I like the fact that it has kind of camo everywhere. The only way this becomes a camo is you put it on the camo strap.
Okay. I got some here now, because I'm looking into the camera and I see this green camo next to this offshore right here, and I'm thinking to myself, hey AP, if you're listening, if you could scale this down to this, make it the same case thickness
and size, right?
I'm a buyer.
Well, let me ask you, do you keep the ceramic bezel in green?
I do, absolutely.
Okay.
So if you're listening, AP.
Well, speaking of offshores, here's an oldie but a goodie. This right here is the very OG Alinghi offshore, right? This
Actually, the first AP I ever owned.
This is the first. This is the first Audemars Piguet offshore Alinghi, right? It's full titanium on a titanium bracelet. I apologize. This watch is beat to shit, and rightfully so. It's probably 20 years older or more. This is a dual time. It's got the Alinghi logo, as you can see at between 1 and 2, or 1 and 3. Sleeper, right? Reason it's sleeper is because if you look at offshores, older offshores, specifically this one, you guys have seen me kicking this around for a little bit. You saw it on my Instagram. You saw me do, I think, a story with this. I was wearing this for a while. Back in '93, so quick story, obviously, I have to.
The tropical beast.
In 1993, the original offshore came out to celebrate the 20. Well, it was announced in 1992 to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the Royal Oak, which was born in 1972. And around the early 90s, they made the original Beast that you guys see me go around sometimes as well, right? The D serial. And then in that same D serial range, they came out with colorful offshores, and these things came in orange, which you see here. You see I had a few yellow ones in the back. It was a blue, but it was a different blue, not like the regular offshore blue.
There's a plum.
There's a plum, there's a blue, there's an orange, there's a yellow, there's a red.
Red.
Right?
The red one is dope.
The rarest ones, the easier ones to get would
Green. Did we say green?
Did I say? Well, there's a green.
Yeah.
In case I didn't say it. There is the easier ones to get were the blue ones because nobody really cared for them. They kind of look the same.
Yeah.
But the guys that find the green ones, the purple ones, the red ones, they tend to hold on to them. The orange ones because they're a little more scarce. The yellow is probably the second easiest to find after the blue. Then I would say it's the orange, the green, and the plum, or the purple and the red.
I'm going to make a big statement.
They made a ladies offshore in red as well. They made a ladies offshore, which is it's thick in size. It's almost as thick as this. It's smaller.
I'm going to make a big statement here.
Yes.
On this tropical beast, as they like to call it. I was kicking this around for a few days on the wrist, and this is officially the most comfortable offshore on my wrist I have ever.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Worn.
Because what happens
Strap.
is the way the strap is done. If you look at the lug system of the newer offshores, right? You have the case you have the case going all the way down to the strap, right? Where this guy, they came out with the hinge strap where you're able to bend this even. You can put this watch together like this.
A freaking
Well, with
game
this guy, you
changer.
can't. And I think that I like the look of this, but this adds to the size for those guys with small wrists. This allows you to wear a bigger watch if you have a small wrist.
AP needs to come back with that because these hornback straps I think are absolutely trash. I hate them.
Yeah, I don't like them either.
Hate
To
them.
be honest with you. Speaking of AP, what else?
What else we missed?
So we've been showing you this guy, the helicopter, aka you've seen it on Instagram. You've seen it on Instagram story.
I'm getting there's a lot of AP.
Anniversary offshore. 50 pieces made. Still an argument is out there. It's a total of 50 pieces if you go on their website. The story is it's 25 titanium and 25 rose. Of course, the watch is in that number, and rightfully so, because they don't want to make number 22 any less special than number 1, number 2, and number 3, or number 50.
So I gotta say that I really hate this watch because A, I can't afford it, and B, it's too damn big on me. However, this is my favorite offshore ever released. I get a lot of AP love today.
I did a what's on my desk on this watch. So when you guys get a chance, go check it out. I talk about the mechanics. I talk about how it was made. I talk about the history.
Let's wind this, baby. Let the turb come out a little to play. You know what I'm saying?
You gonna wind it?
Yeah.
All right, wind it. While he's winding that, I'm gonna show you another very special watch. Can't talk prices on this one because we're currently working with someone, so for privacy reasons. And again, another watch that I've had in the past.
Ian, play the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, we got to play the game. I call this the Game of Thrones, of course. Of course, this is the Knights of the Round Table, but I don't know, for some reason this thing has a Game of Thrones vibe to me. That's what I threw it up as on my Instagram. But surprisingly, this is a hard to get and a very expensive Roger Dubuis. I dare any of you guys out there to get out there and actually find somebody that has that watch in stock. And again, I won't get into the details on it because I did a whole video on this, the craftsmanship, the amount of hours and times he goes into making that watch, every little knight that's at the table and everything else, everything is handmade. Super rare watch, super collectible watch, and I think those that bought it, they recognize it as such, and they're holding on to it, hence there's none on the market. Let's talk about some deals, some crazy shit
Deals.
that you wouldn't
Deals
buy.
and steals.
Is the tourbillon going? How long are you going to wind this thing?
This is the same. This just happened to me before. There you go. There it is. It's that position, that little position.
Exactly. Let's talk about some deals. How about this Hublot?
You can talk about the Hublot.
He's such a hater.
I'm not a hater.
I love Hublot. So, Hublot. Monopissure chronograph. I single button chronograph. I know I mangled that, but look.
Monopusher? Monopusher?
Yeah. So basically a single button chronograph, tourbillon. Let's get this tourbillon going. If you guys want to talk about tourbillons, let me get this guy going.
I win. Mine just plays sicker.
I can't really see if it's going or not. I need my glasses. Is it going? Let's see.
Look at that. Look at that baby go.
Okay. There's mine. There's yours. I think mine moves sexier. So let's talk about the retail prices. $258,000 on this watch. It sells for around $60,000 because again, the resale value is not the best, especially when you get into high-end Hublots and the price tags climb up. But again, I talked about this before. You know, don't be shy to get out there and find yourself a deal if complications is your thing. There's plenty to be had. Hublot is a good example. Speaking of which,
Roman,
yes.
can you please pay attention?
Are you
I am thirsty.
Sorry.
It's called watch some whiskey.
Yeah, are you meeting anybody tomorrow morning early?
No, my wife's about. Actually, my wife's about to. Shout out to my wife, my beautiful wife Jessica. She is due any day. Basically, we're expecting. So my plans are.
So maybe you shouldn't drink too much in case you got to go to the hospital in the middle of the night.
Actually, on the contrary, I should drink.
Jesse, shout out. So anyway, speaking of crazy deals and things that Roman likes to buy, how about this guy?
Yeah, how about not?
Anyway, I like diamond watches. I like unique watches. And when I'm talking about unique, it's something that either looks unique, and a lot of the times it's a piece unique, and this is what it is.
This I can live with this one because the size is not bad. You know, usually you it's not
Usually it
too
gets
small.
tiny.
It's not too small. It's like
Exactly.
it's got a look. It's got a good look.
But here's the thing. This is a absolutely gorgeous work of art, and I would even say piece of jewelry from Corum.
It is.
I mean, the emeralds on here, you'd be hard-pressed to get out there and find matching emeralds such as this just to put this bezel together. Hence, the retail price on this watch at the time it sold was $578,000. No, I'm sorry, Swiss francs.
Swiss franc, which at the time was probably around $80.
Unfortunately, these things are out there for cents on a dollar because, again, this was a very specific watch, most likely made to order to someone. Oddly enough, nobody ever wore this watch. It's still new old stock. It must have been given as a gift to someone, and they put it in the back of the safe and never actually wore it or sold it because this thing still looks brand new. With that said, pieces like that, this was technically a men's watch at the time that it was made.
Was it really?
Yeah, it was. But what's happening now is there's a good trend right now. My wife is actually one of those trendsetters, if you like to call it. She loves this kind of stuff because it now has sort of a...
Shout out, Anna, Roman's wife.
She doesn't watch my YouTube.
No?
She doesn't have time, bro. Wait till you have 3 kids.
Got enough for you when you
Exactly. So with that said, a watch like this, you know, my wife likes this vibe for 2 reasons. Number one, she's not wearing the same exact watch everybody else out there is wearing, and number two, it's unique. It's very dressy. It's gaudy, but it's not. I feel like, right? And it's stuff that you pick up cents on a dollar. So I will always buy deals such as this. Did we miss anything? You guys seen this thing on our...
I told Roman to auction it off on Pornhub.
All right, so apparently I brought this watch into the office, and I was told I should open up an account on what? OnlyFans. Yeah, I actually learned today what OnlyFans is.
Really?
Yeah, I never knew what it was. I mean, I'm a married man for 20 years, bro.
Yeah, I mean-
You know. So apparently people sell naked pictures of themselves on there to their neighbors. So I guess that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing about it. You will not find my profile on Fans Only, and even you fuckers open up a profile for me,
OnlyFans.
I will OnlyFans. Fans Only. And when you fuckers back there open up an account for me, I will kill you. All right. So the show part.
Oh, man.
Seemingly on the outside, I think it's special enough, and the reason I say it's special enough because classic tonneau shape. The lapis dial is I think what makes the watch. I mean, lapis is beautiful, and see if I can get that on camera. But lapis is beautiful altogether. But of course, drum roll please, is right. So it's an erotica watch, right? And I've talked about erotica watches in the past, and I don't know if I hope kids aren't watching. Let me put this thing in action. All right, so let's just leave it at that. So with that said,
YouTube is gonna flag you.
right? With that said, I talked about erotica watches. There are lots of collectors out there for erotica watches. I don't know if it was a Q&A or something, and I talked about all these erotica watches. And everybody pretty much made them. Right now, if you think erotica watches, you're going to think of Ulysses Nardine because they still have current production erotica watches where the erotic scene is in the front. Not as vulgar as this, but nevertheless.
What do you mean it's not as vulgar as that?
No, you have the snake and the half-naked lady and the apple.
No, I mean there's another one.
Oh, you're talking about the other one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but that's not in current production anymore. Anyway,
Yeah, but what does current production have to do with it? Is this in current production?
this hasn't been in current production since 1988, bro.
Piece unique,
But
like-
long story short,
like
there's a
yourself.
huge. What I discuss is the majority of these erotica watches, especially the really vulgar one or the graphic ones, are going to have the erotic scene in the back because wearing this watch in public or around kids, you're going to have a hard time explaining why there's the scene of Debbie Does Dallas number 4 in the back of the watch. But anyway, enough about watches. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about. Let's see, what do we got? Design your own watch.
Oh, it's a good one.
I'll give you one watch. Let's
Go
go.
ahead.
What do you got? Well, let's have a drink first.
Cheers.
Probably get more creative after this.
Okay. Not that there's anything wrong with the watch per se, but I'm just gonna throw a little bit of my, I guess, creativity on there. A gray ceramic Royal Oak perpetual calendar. Because they have the black, they have the white, they have the black skeleton,
That's not very creative.
a gray. It's not that creative, but I think that it would absolutely smoke. Like a gray one.
Skeleton or not?
Not skeleton.
Just plain gray.
Plain gray.
What did you think about the one that?
Like
what,
a
what did you think of the
gunmetal
one?
gray?
What did you think of the one that Virgil Abloh customized? Made it like all, he whited out a white ceramic.
Oh,
perpetual.
no.
You don't think that gray would kind of have that same look?
No, not at all. No, I'm talking about like a Nardo gray, like kind of like it's like kind of like a chalk gray
Chalk.
Bubba Watson.
Like that color?
That color gray. I think it would absolutely kill. Maybe a little bit darker than that. And I've always wanted a chrono. They have a 59688 chronograph, right? But I would want them to make that in a gold. So basically, an Aquanaut chrono in gold.
That's not very creative. You take an existing watches.
Who said we have to be creative? I'm just saying make little tweaks.
I'm just saying you're not being creative.
I think it's pretty creative. Yeah, it's me. Wait,
Yeah, make
hold
that
on.
change.
This is my creation.
So this is what you want,
Yeah,
right?
This is what I
This is
want.
what you personally
That's what
want.
I want.
All right, so I'm gonna go with a tantalum Nautilus Grand Complication.
Why tantalum?
I love tantalum. Tantalum to me, it's that other titanium, which is tantalum is heavier than gold, right? Or at
Okay.
least around the same
Yeah.
weight. So it's a very heavy watch. The gray, bless you. The natural, the natural gray. It's sort of like the DeLorean car, right? It's made out of whatever aluminum or whatever metal it's made out of, and it sort of has that natural metal finish. Tantalum to me is one of the most beautiful natural metal finishes. So I take a Nautilus, and I would make it a Grand Complications. First of all, I would make
A
it
Nautilus
a
Grand
Nautilus.
Complication?
a Nautilus Grand Complication. And hear me out.
Huh?
Me personally. Make it out of
Alright.
tantalum so it's heavy. Make it thicker. So I would love to see a Nautilus to the tune of thickness of this long game. Right? I would want it thicker and bigger. And you would need it thicker and bigger to fit the complications in there.
Then-
And I would want it to be, listen to me, and I would want it to be a skeletonized minute repeater perpetual calendar chrono. Put that in your head.
I get you.
Now, the openness of the watch, as you're looking through the watch, the bridges are platinum. So what you're seeing is you're seeing a stark gray tantalum backdrop, so to speak. That's your canvas. And the inner workings of the watch are skeletonized, and they're made out of platinum, or maybe even white gold that's rhodium plated, so it really, really pops. That's my watch. And,
I mean,
and that will retail for $4 million.
That's all great, but unfortunately, we have our supporters watching us, and I know after this episode, we're gonna have to make Ian Photoshop these watches. Mine are gonna be very easy to do. So
Ian,
you
good
got
luck with that.
Thanks, Roman.
Yeah, you're welcome.
You got plans this weekend? Cancel them.
Getting sold shady watches. Well, oddly enough, there's one watch I was going to surprise you as with probably the ugliest watch ever made.
But
I can compare it. I'll tell you what, you don't know what it is, but I brought a watch and I was going to pop it on you to say that I think this is the ugliest bust down ever made. But I will give you a hint. It looks like the ugliest rapper out there.
ugliest rapper out there?
Yeah. The craziest, ugliest rapper out there.
You say Lil Wayne?
Nah, guy went to jail for a little bit and then came back out of jail for a little bit. Kind of looks very, I don't even know what to call him. You know what, I'll show you the watch if you tell me.
Oh, Takashi, yeah.
All right, so
Oh man!
Shout out to Edward. You know who you are.
Thank you for sticking me with two of them.
For shoving 2 of these down our throats in a trade on the watches that you bought. Sometimes you have a relationship with dealers where it's like, they get stuck with something and they just say, you know what, I'm just sending this to you. I don't care, because you just make this thing disappear. It's a bust down that you either love or hate. I mean, look, price-wise, these things are like $13,000, $14,000, right? So it's actually pretty reasonable. The reason they are not that expensive because the sapphires on here are actually synthetic. They're not actual sapphires. There's a lot of use of synthetic sapphires out there, not just in bust downs, but in other things. But nevertheless, this is why if this was real sapphires, it'd be a lot more expensive to make. So it's a watch you either love or hate. If you are a 6'9" fan, maybe we should send him one as a gift. What do you think?
Not a fan. Not sending him shit.
You don't like them? No. Anyway, so this is going to fit under shady watches. Actually, it's not shady. This is a legit Rolex. That's a bust down.
I don't like snitches.
So, here it says, every watch dealer has a shady watch buying experience. And if they don't, they're lying. And on here, it looks like some of your greatest hits. RM Jackie Chang, wrong watch, Red Dragon. So these aren't really a shady watch buying experience. This is a watch buying experience gone wrong, or sale experience.
People always ask in the comments I've seen before.
Tell me your horror story.
Like,
this is more a horror
It's
story.
like, why does Adrian have, like, throughout his whole...
He's got bad luck with Richard Mille. Look,
you don't say that when I bring profits home, baby.
I don't, but
exactly.
there's 3 bullet points in here that obviously Nick talked to you about. Jackie Chang, RM30, Bubba Watson.
Because I've sold a lot of Richard Milles before.
But why does it always happen to you? It never happened to Anna. It never happened to anybody here. It did not. Well, I left some Richard Milles in the safe. Yeah. You know that story.
Well, I'll explain.
Talk to me about the Jackie
Just
Chang.
in my own personal defense, because
Volume.
What?
Volume.
No, not volume. It's because when I was younger, I hustled really hard, tried to make a name for myself.
Bro, you work 7 days a week today, 12 hours a day.
It's not the point. Is what I'm saying is like trying.
Shout out to Jessica.
I work smarter now. Before I was everywhere. Didn't miss a message, didn't do this, blah, 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 blah. So I tried to like insert myself and make a lot of
ADD.
I try to make a lot of deals happen. And unfortunately, when shit happens in volume, like if you
I
do a
know,
lot of...
people ask me all the time, does Adrian have ADD? You know what I tell them? I said,
Yes,
no, he doesn't. He has HD ADD, high definition attention deficit disorder.
That's a good one. That's a good sweatshirt right there. Cheers.
Oh, let's do that. I got HD ADD. All right, so tell me the Jackie Chan story.
Oh, this is a good one. They're all good ones.
Good one. You shit your pants. How much was the watch at the time? I mean, it's much more now.
I wish we had it at that price now. There's a very affluent client out of Dubai. I think he's in the royal family or something like that. So we were in contact about many watches. He wanted to purchase, that I wanted to purchase, yada, yada, yada.
But you yada yada over the best part.
So about 6...
How do you spell yada yada yada? Can you subtitle yada yada yada?
Yada, yada. Done? Are you finished?
Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
So at one point he said he had this one specific Richard Mille. It's called a Jackie Chan, and there's a dragon on the watch. There was a dealer that I used to work with that sent me a WhatsApp, the picture of a Jackie Chan dragon. Said, I have a client that's looking for this watch. I'm like, oh, I know where there is one.
Which, by the way, sorry to interrupt you. This is a lot of times we stay in constant communication with our clients. And a lot of times clients want to sell us things that are not necessarily a good enough price for us to stock. And at the same token, we don't want to offend them with their price. And they're not really looking to sell, or they're not looking to sell immediately. And we keep in contact with all those clients, which is why when somebody calls and says, hey, is this watch available, especially on a high-end piece, I'm almost 9 out of 10 times to say, yes, I know where one is. And I can always call a private client.
Yeah, sometimes they just reach out just to let us know we're in contact. Not necessarily that they want to sell. Oh, I just got this.
The Patek Phoenix that was sold. That's a watch we sold to a client. We were just aware that he's ready to sell it.
So this dealer comes to me and says, I have a client for this Richard Mille Jackie Chan Dragon, sends me a picture, and keep in mind that there's not many of these in the world. So I remembered where there was one. So I forwarded that picture to this client. And he goes, yeah, bro, I still have it. I'm like, okay, whatever. We did the deal. I never forwarded pictures back.
This is a $600,000 plus deal.
Yeah, $600,000. And I never forward physical photos back to the guy. I just, price is this, price is that. We're good. Okay, whatever. So the way the deal happened in Dubai was we had a dealer like midway facilitating the transaction. And from what I understand in Dubai is that if you give somebody a check in Dubai,
and then they'll honor it, you get your
there's
a big penalty for it.
There's a big penalty for it, so you couldn't
you can't bounce checks.
Can't bounce checks, exactly. So Anyway.
It's considered a contract, I think is what it is.
Yeah, maybe. So, anyway, so we paid for this watch, or this broker, or my friend paid for the watch, and the deal was done. My friend had the watch, and then this other dealer that I sold it to went to go pick it up.
And that's when we realized.
That's when I got a million phone calls in the middle of the night because Dubai is 8 or 9 hours ahead of us. Bro, WTF. He goes, you gave me the wrong watch. I'm like, what do you mean I gave you the wrong watch? He goes, you gave me a red dragon when I wanted a gold dragon. I said, what? I was like, well, I forwarded.
That's when Adrian just went white.
I forwarded your original picture to my client, and he said that, yes, this is the one I have. So when it actually came into fruition, it was the wrong one. Make a long story short, that red one that was given to our dealer friend was actually super unique and special.
So
it was
we
some
made
crazy,
the deal stick.
Yeah, we made the deal stick, and actually the client ended up.
So let me
being
ask you a
very
question.
happy.
Obviously, the lesson there is there are a few different species of dragons out there. But
Yeah,
what was
there
the
are.
lesson learned from that?
Get pictures of
The
the
same
watch.
shit I've been telling you for years. Do your due diligence, right?
Which
You
is
can't-
very
you
hard.
can't-
I don't make the this was.
And
this
it's not,
was-
and it's not about the fact that it was a $600,000 watch. Similar issues happen with watches that are 20, 15,000, 10,000. Things that we order for clients that turn out sometimes to be wrong. Is I always say, listen, don't rush. There's no purpose of rushing. I know you guys are busy 24/7, but due diligence is where it's at.
Sometimes things move very fast.
How about this shady deal? RM30.
Another Richard Mille.
Our dear friend dealer Billy that is no longer in the business. Let's talk about that.
Okay, so we go to certain trade shows overseas, and I was walking through the trade show. I saw a watch that I really liked. It was an RM30, and
Was
I
the
got-
blackout? What was it called?
It was a blackout.
The limited
Really
edition, something.
RM30 blackout. I think there was 30 pieces made of it. So I go into the dealer showcase. We confirm a price. Very happy with it. Show's over. We come back home. I post the watch on Instagram. Get a DM from a dealer saying, basically asking me all the correct questions that a dealer would. Bro, what's the best price? What's the condition? Send me pictures. What serial number out of 30 is it? Now keep in mind this was watch only. There was no box and papers with it, which sometimes is common in our industry.
It's
No
very
box and
common. What do you
papers.
mean?
Very
Right.
common.
20%.
Well, with Richard Mille, it's not as common because papers do bring a lot of money. A piece of paper on a watch like that, it could be $20,000, $25,000.
Listen, out of the watches that I bought here, this Lange has box and papers. This one doesn't. This one does. This does. Does this have papers? I don't remember.
This datograph does not have papers.
Paper doesn't have papers. This does have
Yeah.
box and papers. This doesn't have papers. So it's especially for older watches. People just either throw them out or lose them or
forget
just
them,
don't care
yeah.
for them. So it's normal. But go ahead.
So, send him pictures of the watch. Bro, what's the serial number? Because a lot of times clients have certain numbers that they don't like. In Asia, they don't like 4.
Yeah, if you
In
have a
other
serial number
countries-
4 out of something, an Asian
Yeah.
client will never buy it.
Exactly.
Six, 6 will not fly in Russia.
Yeah,
FYI.
6 won't fly in Russia. So whatever, we agreed on the price. He was from London. He goes, I'm actually going to be in New York in a couple days. He goes, let me meet you in your office on a Saturday. I'm like, okay, no problem. Come inspect it. Let's meet. Saturday rolls around. I'm at the office by myself. I get a phone call from this dealer. Hey, bro, I'm at your door. Okay. I go in his vault, grab the watch, open a door, and there's 6 Southampton, Pennsylvania police officers
Which
there.
we all know and are very friendly with, by the way, because we support them all the time.
And
But
when I saw those police officers, I immediately knew. I had this gut feeling that, holy shit.
so, long story short, we find out, and I'll take over from here. This guy, they couldn't confiscate the watch. It's not like just because this guy
Right,
said
yeah.
this watch is stolen, they couldn't really confiscate it. So we kept the watch. Lawsuit emits. We go back to the dealer we bought it from. This dealer bought it from a pawn shop in mainland China. All the paper trail is there. We have all the invoices from one to another. And the only thing we said is like, first of all, I called the guy myself and I said, look, in this business, you're obviously not in this business, because if you were into this business, you wouldn't do what you did. The only thing you had to do is say, hey, this was my watch, it was stolen, and it would have trickled the same effect as you showing up at the door with the police. This happens in our industry. Not very often, but it happens. And when it does happen, it's a matter of honor. I go to the guy I bought it from, and so on and so on and so forth, till I find the last guy standing who's going to end up taking the hit. With that said,
The better story is how he got the watch stolen to begin with.
so now, long story short, we find out later. We do some digging. I go to my attorney because this guy starts suing us and going back and forth. Because now it was a matter of principle. I'm like, you know what? Go ahead and sue us. I don't believe that this watch is actually stolen based on what you're saying. Why? Because later we find out that we tell him, okay, send us an invoice, send us some paperwork, send us a transaction where you paid this watch, where you bought it from, and so on and so forth. This guy sends us some cockamamie rental car contract of a driver that he sent to pick up that watch from a dealer in Dubai. It was just like the paperwork was like, what is this? You sending me a rental contract from a car rental company. I need invoices. Then he sends me a copy of the papers, which were fake, right? It was literally a copy of a fake papers for that watch, saying that I got the papers. So something didn't add up, and I was just wondering, is this guy really trying to pull a fast one for me? Later we find out
But the guy had a little bit too much fun in
the
Dubai.
guy had a little bit too much fun in the
locked up for DUI.
spent about a week in jail in Dubai and whatever else happened down there. So make a long story short, we went through a big lawsuit. Yes, it cost us money, but we ended up with the watch because he couldn't prove that the watch was actually stolen. These type of stories happen to us, and I don't know, Nick dubbed them, every watch dealer has a shady watch buying experience. Not really a shady watch buying experience. It's more, growing pains. It's more bad experiences, things like that. These things do happen. There isn't a written code among dealers to solve all issues without, making a big deal out of it, be it a stolen watch that once in a while comes through people's hands. Because look, I told you guys before, a lot of you have asked me, how do I protect myself from buying a watch that is not stolen? And I said, you can't. As a dealer of 20 years, I can't. You just have to make sure that you're buying from a source where you have recourse. I will not buy. There's so many dealers that have popped up in the last, I don't know, couple of years, all these flippers that we call them, pseudo dealers.
Because Instagram provides you the opportunity to post other people's
exactly.
stuff. So be very careful on Instagram, guys.
Yes. And with that said, I have some dealers that offer me stuff, and they're like, okay, I want to offer it. First of all, I will not pay for anything until it gets here. Two, I have ways of checking watches, make sure there are databases out there that I can reach out for favors to certain dealers, certain brands, and so on and so forth to check. I have lists on certain brands that I can go against, right? Who are you? I'm Joe Schmo. I'm like, it doesn't work, Joe Schmo. I need your company name, your company address. I need your tax ID. I need a proper invoice with all the serial numbers, and only then will you get a wire from me or a check. That's the proper way of doing it. And I've also asked for references. I'll ask other dealers about you. Have we gotten burned before and been those last guys in line with a stolen watch, then we ended up losing money? Yes. Usually because either we didn't dot our I's or cross our T's, but at the end of the day, this is the stuff that you guys are always asking me about. And again, do your due diligence. Don't rush. These are not cheap things that you're purchasing. Don't have impulse buys on expensive watches. You end up getting in trouble. Or impulse sales for that matter. Tiny little thing, right? Jackie Chan Dragon. Well, Adrian didn't know they actually made a very special one unique for this client.
Oh, I did.
Where the tiger that was red instead of, what was the regular? The regular was just not tiger, dragon. One was gold and the other one was red, right? Go figure. Well, luckily we were able to make that watch stick. Otherwise we would have ate a $600,000 watch.
Still think we would have made money.
Well, if we would have held on to it, what's that, over $1 million now?
Nah, I mean, I think it was so good.
What do you think? What do you think the Dragon Jack and Chang is at
Over
right
$1
now?
million for sure.
Over $1 million for sure, guys.
Bro, I always beat you. You're just soft,
well,
man.
You're younger,
So?
stronger. You got a nice fresh haircut today.
I do, thank
looks,
you.
The beard looks on
Yeah.
point. I like it.
Appreciate it.
Love the ears.
Appreciate
You
it.
know what?
Me too.
Guys, we're gonna finish it with that. Cheers to you guys.
Yes.
Thanks for tuning in once again, and we'll see you next week.
Cheers.